in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. We built this biodigester system 6 years ago, and then this area got completely overgrown with nettles and brambles and blackberries and wonderful things like that. And so we've been weed whacking today, and we've been like archaeologists. We uncovered the biodigester, and we had a floating tank IBC gas holder that was up here, and we have moved that. You can see the pallet rotted right out. So we've moved that down, and we got to move this digester, but of course we went to such trouble to get the manure from the horse farm that Bo and his family have. Hi, Bo.
Hi, Thomas.
That we don't want to have to go through that hassle again. We want to move this into a better location because it was hard for the family to take the food waste up this slippery slope filled with nettles and brambles from the house, which isn't that house there, but the house is actually over. Let me show you. The house is way down there. So you can imagine that just the labor burden of carrying buckets of food waste up the switchback from the kitchen, which is upstairs, down the stairs, out the door, up here, along this switchback here, over to here, all the way up. All these stinging nettles, of course, getting you if you're barefoot, if you're wearing short, if you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, the stinging nettles get you. This was all covered in stinging nettles, as you can see, until today. And then bringing it up to the digester. This is a site that gets sun because the sun, it's up there right now, but the sun is normally coming through that gap between this pine tree and there. So we picked a sunny location 6 years ago in the hopes that this would be developed into a fruit tree garden. And you can see there is apple tree right there. So there is an apple tree, but it's not really a good location for having a biodigester. And permaculture teaches us that the first place you should put something you use on a daily level is right next to the house, which is way back there. So this wasn't working out. So 6 years later, we've come back and we've completely unearthed the digester. And now we're draining it to save those microbes. And we were carrying buckets. We were doing a bucket brigade, but we don't have to use them, right? Okay, so we are able now, of course, using a siphoning technique. Haha, yeah, siphoning, it works, right? So we happen to have this part of the IBC tank that we cut off for the floating gas holder. And so my recommendation is never throw those away. They're extremely useful to have those sections around. I use them for a lot of different things. And then because we put it in the right place, we were able to then accommodate draining this into that and then running our siphon all the way down the hill. There will be a part where we will have to use buckets again, and that will come when we're getting the sludge out, which is where the most active microbial consortia communities are. So we are going to do more bucket brigading. But right now what we're doing is draining this down and filling the bottom part of the floating IBC collector, which we're moving as well. And that's going to be our temporary storage. Hey, there's Bo. So it's really important to think about future planning. A lot of families will say, well, I don't really want a biodigester right next to the house because they're not familiar with it and they're afraid that it will stink. It does not stink. So what we're doing is taking all that wonderful slurry and filling this, which was our floating gas holder bottom tank. We've elevated it a little bit so that we can fill buckets down here. And when we are ready, we'll have moved the other tank into the place that Andy and Mana and Kenty are preparing right here, which is where there was a little garden area. And this is a nice wall. See that beautiful, who did that flower chalk and the heart?
Probably Bo.
Probably Bo.
Was it Bo? That was Bo. Oh yeah?
Over 10 years old.
Brian did that, eh? It's really nice. So it seems like it was faded for this because that sunflower represents the sun, which is going to be coming down and extending the biodigester season, because this wall will act as a thermal mass. And as a thermal mass, it will retain heat, which then can be transferred to the digester, especially if we then put in a leaning greenhouse material like polycarbonate on an angle. Then you have a back wall. And in fact, Bo, if we paint that black, it would really work well.
It would work, okay.
And it could be painted, and then you could paint over the black. You could paint that sunflower with green and yellow, so the black would not just be a black surface. It could have like nice things on it, but it would do the function, you know? and then it would be really sweet. So that's the plan, is to move the digester closer to the house. There's the door to the house there, and the kitchen is up there. So people would just go downstairs and bring it out and feed it. And that's exactly what you should do with a biodigester. Really having it way behind there was a mistake in logistics, but that's the learning lessons. We had that same situation in the West Bank, Palestine, when people didn't want to put the digester near the kitchen and they moved it far away into an orchard, and then nobody ever went and fed it. So really the digester should be right where you're going to feed it, and then you can move the gas easily other places, and you can move the liquid fertilizer other places. So right now we're draining and filling from here, and once we have this filled and that tank emptied, we're going to move that tank down, put it in place, and then we've got to use this elevation. Hopefully it's high enough that we can siphon into the other tank at least halfway, and then we would use bucket brigading. So that's what's going on here, and I'll go check up there. Another ideas that we have for the Wellness and Healing Center, we just put up this pool yesterday. Involved a lot of leveling. It's not completely level. It works. And to solar heat this, we're thinking of getting black hose that we connect to the filter over there. The filter is a pump, so we put black hose on this side. As it goes into the top part of the pool, we can pull cold water from the midpoint of the pool down, and then let it go through the pump, and then pump through black coils, and then back into the top, and eventually get a nice hot pool. Because right now, this pool, having been filled with groundwater, is at a chilly 17 degrees Celsius, 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's no fun at all. My son Nye and their daughter Layla got in it today, and it was far too cold to be enjoyable. So we have to work on making it so that it is a healing bath, but at low cost, so using the sun. So this is another good opportunity to maybe experiment eventually with the zipline switchback garufa. Garucha, is it called? Garucha. So one could move goods up and down the mountain. So that is the movement that we're making to get the digester finally in its right place. Alrighty, we tested it today, and after 6 years of neglect, it is still producing flammable gas. So we're good on that. All right, hope you enjoy the biogas revolution in your own life. Thanks so much.